Good afternoon. I am Reverend C.J. Hawking. I am a United Methodist pastor and the executive director of Arise Chicago. We've had the privilege of hosting a site visit with Network Nuns on the Bus and Governor Pat Quinn. In order to share more about that visit, I'd now like to introduce Sister Simone Campbell from Network Nuns on the Bus.
Thank you so much for coming out. I do joke and say, lead a quiet life, join the convent. I recommend it because we had the amazing opportunity to hear this afternoon 3 workers talk about wage theft and exploitation that's taking place here in Chicago. I personally found it shocking to hear a story of a woman who worked for 13 years at a car wash and only made tips. She received no hourly wage and was required to work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We heard the story of the folks who are doing on strike down at a moving van place, Golans, thank you, at Golans, because they voted for a union, but they are being refused to negotiate a contract. Their employer refuses to sit down and follow the laws of the United States. I found that shocking. And then I found, even in some ways even more shocking, to hear the story of a worker who works in McDonald's, the fast food restaurant, but because they're paid so little, they can't afford to buy the food. That is wrong in the richest nation on earth. It is wrong for us in a society that can care for the 100%. It is wrong that these people are being exploited to benefit the rest, those at the top, and all of us who pay low wages or think we're getting a deal. We've got to change the conversation. We've got to change the conversation so that it is about the 100%. Everyone needs to pull together and benefit in our society. There's enough money to go around. The guy who's the head of McDonald's is making about $10 million a year. Seems to me he could share a little bit. And I'm sure if he knew the story of his workers, he'd want to. Because he's not a bad person. What he wants to do is to reach out and make a difference. This morning we were at a business roundtable and the business folks were telling us, well, you know, money isn't so important once you get to a certain level, but we're competitive. Money is how we tell we're winning. We've got to change how we tell we're winning because people are suffering in our society because those at the top want to win, which is good. That's great. I love to win. I'm really competitive. But I don't want to do it at the expense of other people. Our people, I'm sure the leaders don't want to do it at the expense of other people. And what we're doing on the bus, our glorious bus, is we're going out saying the way we make our voice heard, the way we make sure policies, good policies for the 100% are made, is by voting. We, the people, need to stand up, vote, and be engaged. One of the people we heard at Arise said, you know, if you don't vote for somebody, you're really voting for somebody. And so we know everyone needs to turn out. Please, we're begging you. It's our patriotic duty. Our community needs you. Our people need you. The 100% needs you. Join us at the table. But we're saying to those who have money bags, that's great, glad you got them. Leave them outside the door. But bring your voice to the table so the 100% will set the policy for our nation. We together can form this more perfect union. We the people, and we're the voters. So thank you so much for coming out today. Now, I am also honored to be joined by Governor Pat Quinn. Governor Quinn has worked hard on these issues for the 100%. He was telling us about, and I'm sure he'll tell you, about some of the legislation that's been passed here in Illinois that can make a difference in people's lives. And we're supporting all politicians who have the common good at their core of their administration and their being. So let me introduce He needs no introduction, I know. But my great honor is to welcome you, Governor Pequin.
Okay, well, thank you, sister. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's an honor to welcome Nuns on the Bus. Thank you, Sister Simone Campbell, and all of our nuns who are here today. I think Pope Francis would be so proud of you. Yeah, we're proud of him. But Pope Francis told all of us on planet Earth that we have to have an economy of inclusion. Everybody in and nobody left out. We don't want anyone marginalized. And we heard at our round table from Martina, who works hard at the car wash. And if there's somebody stealing her wages, we've got to do something about that. And I intend to look into that, as well as everything else that we heard from Augusto, who is back up in Skokie now. They organized, they voted for a union. It's important that they be recognized. I have the opportunity to have collective bargaining and have good wages and safe working conditions. This is fundamental to a decent society. And I think also we heard from Doug Hunter, who's right with us right now. He understands how important it is when you work for McDonald's to get paid a decent wage. We want to raise the minimum wage in Illinois, raise the wage in our country. And it's important that our employers get that message. And that's why voting is important, because in Illinois there is a referendum on whether to raise the minimum wage. And we want the people to speak on that very important issue. Now, I think it's really meaningful that Nuns on the Bus are traveling all across America. They are our social conscience. My aunt was a Sister of Mercy, and she was given 83 years on this earth, and she spent every day helping someone else. She understood that loving your neighbor was a life of service. And I want to thank our nuns who are here today for their ethic of service. Service to others is the rent we pay for our place on God's earth. Dr. Martin Luther King, who lived in Chicago, on the west side of Chicago in 1966, said everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And we have to have that ethic of service in our state, our country, our world. I think our Pope has helped us learn about that. And thank you, Pope Francis, for appointing our new Archbishop, Blaise Supich. Thank you. He's coming to Chicago. He understands how important social justice is to everyone. And in closing, I told Doug on the way over here, 40 years ago, in 1974, not too far from here, Cesar Chavez came to Chicago. He was an organizer, just like the Nuns on the Bus. And he came over and over again to organize people on behalf of the farm workers. And I got a chance to shake his hand on a February night 40 years ago. And Cesar Chavez always said, "Si se puede," yes we can. That was his famous line. But that night he said, "Juntos podemos." That means together we can. And with the Nuns on the Bus, together we can. Thank you.
Yeah. To our media friends, we're going to give you a minute to go ahead and get set up at the rally as we walk over there now and begin a rally led by Sister Simone Campbell.
Very good, sister.
Good afternoon. I'm standing on my tippy toes, so I hope you can at least hear. My name is Sister Kathleen Desatel. I'm a Sister of Providence here at the Eighth Day Center for Justice here in Chicago. And we would be remiss if we didn't just not only welcome all the nuns, but all of the people that support us, and for that reason we can be here. So for all those who are here to support us. And mostly, I want to thank, and I think all of us need to give a big round of applause to Arise Chicago, but especially C.J. Hawken, who has done this organizing. Really, they've done a wonderful, wonderful job. But I have the great pleasure and the happy occasion. They're not wanting to hear from me. Notice this came later. That's all right, I won't take it personally. Yeah, all my words. Got it? What I'd like to do, of course, I'm here to introduce to you who it is you've come to hear. And it's my pleasure, for sure, to welcome Sister Simone Campbell, who is a sister of social service, but most of us know her as the executive director of Network. Simone has such a long list of what it is she has done that we would take up all of the time if I were to read that. But I'm sure she would like me to encourage you to read her new book called Nun on the Bus: How All of Us Can Create Hope, Change, and Community. And I think that's what the Nuns on the Bus event is all about, is it not? So buy her book. Is that good? But perhaps I'm going to just speak for myself personally. We all know that Simone is not only a sister of social service, but also a lawyer, an activist. She's the executive director of Network. Her list goes on. Probably one of the most proud moments that I think I remember and am happy, not only did she speak at the Democratic convention and did us proud, but I think she got there because she and others in LCWR were the ones who organized and helped be the author of the Nuns' letter in support of the Affordable Care Act. So there are so many things that we can say about Simone, but mostly we want to just give her a warm, warm welcome.
You are quite kind. Thank you very much. Thank you. What a treat to be in Chicago on such a glorious day. And I joked, we were up in Duluth, Minnesota 2 days ago, and I said, well, I'd brought my long underwear just in case, and it was 75 up there. So the sun has been shining on us on this whole journey. It is fabulous. And don't you love our bus over there? Isn't that fantastic? Well, we're going to be hearing from a couple of people to understand better why we're on the road, what matters. And I want to say that we're on the road really to speak and lift up the fact that we, the people, need to be about the 100%. We need everyone's voice at the table. Now, I'm going to be talking more about this at the end, but I want to make sure that we do this in the context of real stories, real people, because this is all about community. Community requires that we hear each other's stories, and that those stories then become the reason, the glue that hold us together. Because if you've told me your story, you've broken open my heart, so I carry you with me. And if you hear my story, hopefully I wiggled into your heart, and you'll carry me with you, and we end up being a whole together, making a difference. That's what this is about. So I am really delighted to introduce a woman who boldly is going to speak, and we're going to have translation for her, but Ana Laura Lopez is going to tell us her story so that we can know the reality of folks who have maybe a different experience than we do. Ana Laura, por favor, díganos su cuenta.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Ana Laura López y soy miembro del Centro de Trabajadores de Arise Chicago.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ana Laura Lopez, and I am a member of the Workers Center of Arise Chicago.
Soy una trabajadora inmigrante que llegó a Arise cansada de soportar abusos e injusticias en mi trabajo. Fueron años de aguantar situaciones abusivas y por miedo a perder el trabajo, mis compañeras y yo permanecíamos calladas.
I am an immigrant worker who came to ask for support at Rise Chicago. We were tired of abuse and injustices in my work. There were years of enduring abuse situations and fear to lose our jobs made us remain silent.
Hasta que un día, después de haber recibido amenazas por parte de la gerencia de la compañía, decidimos hacer algo al respecto. Gracias a Dios llegamos a Arise, donde pedíamos ayuda para solo 2 cosas que son esenciales para cualquier ser humano: respeto y trato digno.
Until one day, after receiving threats from the management of the company, we decided to do something about it. Thank God, we decided to go to Rise Chicago and ask for help. And we were asking for 2 things that are essential for any human being. We were asking for respect and dignity.
Pero en Arise fueron más allá. Ellos nos educaron en nuestros derechos como trabajadores. Nos enseñaron a confiar en nosotros mismos y nos dieron el valor para alzar nuestras voces y exigir que se respetaran nuestros derechos.
But Arise Chicago went further. They educated us in our rights as workers. They taught us to trust ourselves and to muster the courage to raise our voices and demand our rights and to be respected.
Yo personalmente decidí involucrarme y participar en el grupo de liderazgo de Arise Chicago. En el grupo de liderazgo aprendí que todos somos líderes y en nuestras manos está hacer el cambio en nuestros lugares de trabajo y en nuestras comunidades.
I personally decided to get involved and participate in the leadership development program. And as part of the leadership committee, I learned that we are all leaders and that we have in our hands the responsibility to make changes in our workplaces and in our communities.
Solo quisiera remarcar algo. No importa quién seas, de dónde vengas, si eres hombre o mujer, todos tenemos responsabilidad de ser agentes de cambio en nuestras comunidades, educándonos, organizándonos, involucrándonos y votando son algunas maneras de que nuestras voces sean escuchadas.
I would like to emphasize something. No matter who you are, where you come from, if you are male or female, we all have the responsibility to be agents of change in our communities, educating ourselves, organizing, getting involved, and voting are some ways to make our voices heard.
Los invito a que aprendan sus derechos y ejerzan su derecho a votar para hacer cambios en nuestros sitios de trabajo y en nuestras comunidades.
I invite each and one of you to learn your rights and exercise the right to vote. That's the only way to make changes in our work sites and in our communities.
Muchas gracias y ha sido un placer estar aquí. Y ahora quisiera invitar a pasar aquí a Doug Hunter, que es trabajador del McDonald's y está involucrado en la lucha por 15. Gracias.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure to be here with all of you, and I would like to invite Doug Hunter from the McDonald's and the Fight for 15.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can y'all hear me out there? I thank y'all for being here with us today. I'm so happy to see you all come here for us. I'm a member of the Fight for 15 campaign. We're striking at McDonald's. We're demanding better wages. We're demanding health care. These are vital things that we do not have. And so, personally, I have a 16-year-old daughter. And with her, I make $9.25 an hour at McDonald's. I bring home roughly $350 a week. That leaves my rent is $775. That leaves me short of rent, $75. That doesn't count lights. That doesn't count food. That doesn't count a 16-year-old that needs clothes and shoes and trips. And you know how 16-year-olds are in high school, man. They need everything. And so it's such a struggle. And I scrap and scrape and stress all day, every day, trying to provide for her. Her mother is deceased. We do everything we can to just make it through. Sometimes, Sister Simone was asking, she said, well, how do you make it? I say, sometimes at night, I just go into the closet and I cry. I try not to let my daughter see me cry. You know, I want to be strong for her, but she asks me from time to time, she say, what are you doing? She gets so angry sometimes. She want to know, what am I doing to better this situation that we in? And I tell her, I say, that's when I became a member of the Fight for 15. That's what I'm doing. I'm out here trying to do something, trying to help my family, trying to help other families. I work in McDonald's. And y'all all know that when you come in McDonald's, the first thing you smell is them French fries. And you immediately you want some of them French fries. Imagine working there all day for 6 hours and not able to afford the French fries. See, in order for me to get some of the French fries, I have to have 30%. And so if I ain't got a dime in my pocket because I done paid my rent and my light bill, then I just can't eat. So I'm being told to smile and do good customer service so they'll think that I'm wonderfully doing. And what's happening is I'm hungry. My stomach is growling. Sometimes it's hard to smile when your stomach is growling. But that's only part of my problem. Another thing is I'm a diabetic. And when you're diabetic, you have to eat certain foods. You have to get certain medication. All of these things I have to go out and get on my own. Without Obamacare, I wouldn't even be able to provide myself with insulin. I went for 2 years without insulin. My diet right now is ramen noodles. Ramen noodles not good for you, when you're a diabetic. But what else can I afford? I think McDonald's and these other big corporations in this country can do much better. And I say this not out of a hatred or a bitterness for McDonald's, but out of a love for him, out of a love for all of mankind. See, we ought to be able to help one another. We ought to be able to make sure that everybody is doing good. And the one slogan I've been hearing here of late as we've entered into this other war is boots on the ground. Well, this coming election, my plan is to put some boots on the ground. I got some young people in my neighborhood, and those young people say to me, we ain't gonna vote. It don't matter no way. But I tell them all, I say, when you don't vote, even if you don't vote, you vote. You voting for somebody if you don't vote for nobody. Amen. Oh, yeah. So what we have to do right now is to get out that vote, to get people registered, to let them know that there is a better way, that these big corporations don't have to continue to control this thing. Some of them would be willing to help if we just push them a little bit farther. And like I say, we have to do it out of love. We can't do it out of bitterness. I'm not bitter with nobody. I'm saying that America is a great country. I'm saying that according to America's Constitution, we are all endowed with certain unalienable rights. Among those are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And right now here in America, we're finding it very hard to pursue happiness at $8.25 an hour. Something needs to change here. And so we're continuing, thank you, we're continuing to take this fight to these corporations. Last month, I was a part of civil disobedience where we sat down in the middle of the street in Cicero until demanding some change. And this went really good. But the thing we have to do right now, what's in our power to do, is to get up and vote. And so I thank you all for pushing that message all over the country, because every state has to push this vote. That's the only way we're going to be successful, is if we all work together as one big family. I thank you all again for coming out here today, and I would like to introduce to you now Robert Kelly. He's the president of the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 308. Without further ado,
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Kelly. I'm president of ATU Local 308. I'm joined here today with some of my members, as well as members from our sister local, ATU Local 241. More importantly, I'm a voter, and that's what counts. We live in the greatest country in the world, and what makes this country so great is we have a chance. We have an opportunity to vote every election and make changes. The right to vote gives us a voice and a chance to elect people who can shape or change a city, a county, a state, the country, and yes, the entire world. When you have a right to vote, you have a right to be heard. Just having that right, however, is not enough. The importance of it is exercising that right and making sure we get out to the polls. Often we hear it doesn't matter if I vote or not. I'm here to tell you it should, it does, and this fall it will. Often we hear some calling for term limits. We have term limits everywhere. It's you and me exercising our rights to go in there and say enough is enough or thank you very much. Today we live in a free world that allows us to vote on ballot issues, referendums, and members of Congress. From alderman positions to the White House, we have seen some enormously close races in the last 10 to 12 years. Don't ever think your vote doesn't matter. It does. Here in Illinois, we have a governor's race that appears to be so close that every single vote will matter and count. We need to make sure our voices are heard. The importance of your voting could mean higher taxes, schools staying open or closing, better transit, more transit, pension reforms, or nothing. The importance of you exercising your right to vote could mean the difference of becoming a right-to-work state or not. Today you've heard topics on the minimum wage and earning a decent wage. Shouldn't every worker come to work have a right to earning a decent and living and providing for their families? Parties running today are split on this and these subjects. Your right and importance of exercising the right to vote sends a clear message. When you exercise your constitutional right to vote, you're saying you want to be heard. You have a say of whom you want to carry out your agenda, views, and your thoughts. The importance of voting can tell a politician we've had enough of you, as well as thanking others for the job well done. Today, many younger people don't think their voice is important. It is, and what happens today affects us all for years to come. Today I share the stage with a wonderful group of sisters and others who have not only have faith in all of us, pray for all of us, but they have chosen to take the time to come out and stress the importance of voting. They're not here to tell you who to vote for because they have faith that the voters will elect the right people. I close in saying that every individual should register to vote because of its importance, and every registered voter needs to get out there and exercise that right to vote so we don't have no more poverty in this country, so we can get the rights that we deserve. Together, we can do this. Please join me this November in voting at those polls. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Isn't that what this is about? It's all of us together. Ana Laura, Doug, Mr. Kelly, all of us together making a difference. Now, it takes a whole village, or I think it's a metropolis in this case, to put on a Nuns on the Bus event. And I want to acknowledge the ATU, the Amalgamated Transit Union. We got connected with their Washington, D.C. folks, and we realized, whoa, this is a natural connection. We're Nuns on the Bus, and they're the bus drivers, the folks who work in transit. So this is like a perfect partnership. I also want to especially acknowledge the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless that helped us with voter registration earlier today at the University of Chicago. It is fabulous because we know that so often the homeless folks are the most discouraged, the most depressed, and have the hardest time. But getting out the vote is one way to make our voices heard, as President Kelly said. And then, of course, James Adams Hull House. I have to tell you, it's a dream of mine to partner with them because what I learned as a young sister and a young person is that social work started there. Care for the community started there. Chicago is the birthplace of this care for the broader community, and that is what we are about. So great gratitude to them. And I cannot, applause. My community that's all social workers, I have to say, wow, it's such an honor. And then Arise, CJ, and your team, Sister Bernadine, the gang at Arise, have done amazing work to lift up the issues of hard-working people who are not getting what they worked for, who are being cheated, who are being stolen from. And what they're doing is working to make sure that that changes. What a fabulous, fabulous work. And earlier we were joined by Governor Quinn. And I was really touched by two things that Governor Quinn did. One was to be able to take copious notes, but not only take notes about what was said, because sometimes those are easy. I don't know about you, but sometimes I take notes and never read them again. But what he did was take notes, make connections, handed out his card, which I thought, whoa, and then promised follow-up. And I know the folks at Arise will hold him to it. So I hope he understands that, but I'm sure he does. Because the thing is, this is not about a partisan thing. This is all about trying to take care of the people of our state and of our nation, of our city. How do we, the people, care for each other? And that's why we're on the road. We're on the road to lift up the fact that it's not about the 99% and the 1%. Sometimes we want to create an enemy out there. Sometimes we want to say it's their fault. They're the ones. But what we've discovered is that we need everyone at the table. This morning here in Chicago, we did a business roundtable where we had 5 entrepreneurs come to the table to talk about their reality as business owners. And we heard from one guy who has an amusement thing down on the pier. And he was talking that he starts off all his workers, most of them are teenagers, he's got some folks that have been with him longer, but that he starts them off at minimum wage but tries to move them up fairly quickly. But the amazing thing is he pays benefits to all his workers. He's got health care for all his workers. It's huge. But then you know what he told us? He told us that he'd really like to raise wages, but what he has learned is if his price for the amusement thing that he's got gets above $10 an hour, the tourists think it's too much and revenue drops off. And what I realized in listening to him was, hey, it's also about us consumers thinking we can't just get everything for the lowest possible price. We have to be justice consumers. We have to find out, are we acting with justice when we spend our dollars? It is the 100%. It's the workers, it's the managers, it's the consumers. It's all of us together are affected by this reality. And then a few months ago, I met Jason in San Diego, and he told me that he's an entrepreneur, he pays a living wage, but he told me he was getting miffed. And I thought, miffed, you don't hear that word very often. Maybe he was just being kind because I was a sister and thought he had to clean up his language. I don't know. But what he said was he was getting miffed because while he pays a living wage, he pays benefits, he realized that his tax dollars were going to fund his competitors. And I go, what? How's that work? And he said that his competitors pay low wages. His competitors pay low wages, so they, like Doug, can use Medicaid if they're in a state where Medicaid's been expanded. But then what he said was they also can use food stamps, other social safety net program that were supposed to be for those falling through the cracks. Those programs were never intended for the working poor because we were supposed to be able to pay our own way if we worked full time and played by the rules. So he said his tax dollars are going to fund his competitors so his competitors can bid lower prices when they bid for contracts. That's not right. That's not just. People doing the right thing should not be penalized. We have got to make sure that our businesses are supported for doing the right thing. Unions and union organizing is a key way forward, as Doug told us. We have to make sure that our unions are supported. Our businesses doing the right thing, we've got to make sure are supported. Us consumers doing the right thing need to be sure that we're supported. That's why we're on the bus. We're on the bus to say it's about the 100%. It is all of us. All of us have to care for this amazing nation of ours, this union, which we're trying to make more perfect, and Lord knows we got a lot of work to be done. But we know it can be done. Before, we've been out on the bus and we've said, oh, you know, go talk to your Congress member, go talk to your senator, go get somebody else to do something. This time on the bus, it's different. We're out to say, we the people can use our power. We have got to have the boldness to use our power and vote. Then we say at Network, one of our staff at Network started this: friends don't let friends vote alone. You need to make sure somebody else gets to the poll. You need to make sure that everyone is voting. You need to make sure in your apartment buildings, in your church, in your convent, wherever you are, make sure everyone is voting, because voting is the way forward. Voting is the way we decide who we want to employ in our government. It is our chance to use our power. So on the bus, we're lifting this up. We the people, we the voters. Now we have some this is where the commercial comes in. We have some handy dandy helps for you. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. I'm a high Twitter, I love Twitter. Follow us at nunsonthebus.org. And the people over here are holding the sign. So this is cool. Nuns doing this. Can you love it? Text the word nuns, text nuns, N-U-N-S, to 877-877. And we'll get you involved in our activism. Send you a reminder when it's time to vote. Make sure that you've got the resources you need. And make sure that we the people are using our power, standing up, making a difference. Now, Chicago, you've given us a really, really, really warm welcome. And we're going to be looking at you on November 4th to see, can we make Chicago 100% voting? Think we can do that? Turn out the people. We, the people, can make it happen. Thank you, Chicago. It's fabulous, fabulous. And now I'm calling on my good buddy. You probably wonder, how did I get to Chicago? Well, we had to come to Chicago. I mean, let's be real about this. The heartland, being here, it's great. So, but Sister Bernadine Cargie, Cincinnati Dominican, and I've been buddies forever. And so it was one phone call to Bernadine that said, help, I need help. Could you do this? And she very quickly, after a gulp and a pause, said, oh, sure, I can do this. So thank you, Sister Bernadine. Come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for coming out. And it is my job, my privilege, to offer the final blessing. But there is just one quick announcement before we wrap it up here today, is that if you have not registered to vote, or if you've changed your name or your address since you last voted, you can do so at the first bus over there. Not the formal Nuns on the Bus, but Nuns on the Bus number 2. So this can happen right away quick. All right. Thank you. I would ask the sisters who were on the bus stop team who helped organize this event with CJ Hawking and the Arise crew, talk about gulping. I just said yes, and they did all the work. So I'm just one link in this very long, strong chain. So would the bus stop team just stand up, please? And so we gather, we the people, we the voters, are gathered together today in solidarity with our sisters and brothers across the country who are striving for equal rights, human rights, economic rights, and voting rights. We are committed to using our power to vote, to urge others to vote, to assist them in voting in the upcoming November 4th elections. Many thanks to Sister Simone and all the network staff, those who are with us and those behind the scenes and all the other sister cities and all of the other supporting organizations these 4 weeks on the 2014 journey of Nuns on the Bus. We the people, we the voters. I'd ask Sister Simone to come forward. It has been our privilege to be here with you today, and know that we hold you in our hearts and our prayers as you journey on. As a memento of this day, we would like to present you with this medallion, which says, "Mind the Gap." Knowing that we are all one with creation, with all of God's people, we know that we are our sisters and brothers' keepers. We are called to be agents of change, not only to mind the gap, but to mend the gap between the 99% and the 100%. So on this Olympic Day, may I put this around you, my friends? May I invite all of you to stand, please, and raise your hands in blessing if you feel comfortable in doing that. And I would ask you to repeat these 3 phrases after me. We send you forth in a spirit of community and solidarity. We send you forth in hope. We send you forth committed to bring about change. Thank you.